Less than 3 weeks out from the election, Western Australian Liberal MP Andrew Hastie was confronted with this damaging story. The Guardian ran claims by far-right activist Neil Erickson, a man convicted of inciting contempt for Muslims. Erickson claimed that he had held a meeting with Hastie and another Western Australian Liberal, Ian Goodenough. Hastie had no recollection of such a meeting, but soon those damaging claims were being aired far and wide, including, of course, to people in his electorate.
Neil Erickson is a convicted criminal who holds extreme right-wing views, and in a video circulated online, he claimed to have met with two West Australian Liberal MPs, Andrew Hastie and Ian Goodenough, at a rally here in Perth last year. That rally was an event supporting white South African farmers. Mr Goodenough confirmed today he had a brief encounter with Mr Erickson, but did not know on the day who he was. He went further, telling Guardian Australia both Mr Goodenough and Mr Hastie had been approached by Neil Erickson. The Canning MP, Andrew Hastie, was asked about this issue earlier today. Here's that exchange.
Have you ever met Neil Erickson?
Look, I don't answer defamatory questions and I won't get involved in that.
Yes or no, though?
No, I won't answer defamatory questions.
What's defamatory about just saying yes or no?
Thank you.
Journalists mocked Hastie for his defamatory questions formulation when obviously most people knew exactly what he meant. The imputation of the question was sinister. The story was covered far and wide, including by News Corp's Herald Sun and here on Sky News. Hastie issued a statement denying the meeting, but coverage continued, including on the ABC.
Scott Morrison will today wrap up 3 days of campaigning in Western Australia as two Liberal MPs in the state face questions about their dealings with a far-right extremist.
And soon enough, Labor MPs were climbing on. Bill Shorten claimed the Liberals were riddled with extremists. The Victorian Labor Premier and Deputy Premier sunk the slipper too, and so did the federal Shadow Attorney-General.
Well, there are a bit more than reports that Mr Hastie met with Neil Erickson, who is someone else with repulsive Islamophobic views, someone who is a convicted criminal. They're a bit more than reports because Mr Hastie's colleague, Mr Ian Goodenough, the member for More in Western Australia, has said that he and Mr Hastie met with Mr Erickson.
The mystery indeed was why Goodenough had seemingly confirmed the claims. Later, he issued a statement saying he'd been taken out of context all along. He said he was at the rally and that a staff member told him Erickson might also have been there. Goodenough insists he never sought a meeting with Erickson or anyone associated with him, and that recollections of who approaches him at an event a year ago are unclear, especially when politicians meet thousands of people as they carry out their duties. The question here is what checks the media made, how seriously they took Hastie's denial, how carefully they considered the apparent confirmation from Goodenough of some kind of incidental meeting, and how much credence they placed in the allegation, profit on social media by a convicted criminal far-right activist. On the night of the election, after the damage was done, Erickson posted another video on social media revealing he'd made the whole story up to take the heat off the then far-right Senator Fraser Anning.
My trick worked. They left Fraser alone. And Scott Morrison felt a bit of that same medicine he gave to Fraser for daring to be in the same room as me. Yes, I was at the South African March in Perth. No, I did not have a meeting with Andrew Hastie and Ian Goodenough. I don't know what Ian Goodenough's going on about. I merely walked past them at the rally. Probably didn't even know who they were. But this is the left-wing media in Australia. These are the same ones who lie about me every single day.
Erickson went into some detail about media enthusiasm for his story, especially from The Guardian. Of course, journalists are supposed to be keen on breaking stories, so long as they check their facts and verify their claims.
So Andrew Hastie, if you want to go to court and sue these media outlets for writing these falsities in their papers, let me know. I'll be willing to sign a stat deck and sit on a stand or, you know, an affidavit, whatever you want. Because I never met you in Perth. There was no secret meeting about Islam. I made the whole thing up. The media ate it up.
Like the so-called Watergate scandal, this story seems to have been greeted enthusiastically by the media because it suited the anti-conservative agenda. There once was a time stories from such questionable sources were thoroughly checked before they were made public. Now, sometimes the accusations fly and the denials struggle to catch up. In the putrid realms of Twitter, the hate and misinformation is spread far and wide by journalists, activist groups that linked Liberals with Nazis, and by hardline unions. The truth doesn't seem to matter. Some in the media placed more emphasis on these fake news stories during the campaign than they did on, say, chasing costings for Labor's climate policies. But thankfully, yet again, despite all the media games, many voters saw through it.